Hello everybody, welcome to a off-season video here for the Chicago Bears, as the Bears of course defeated the Kansas City Chiefs there in San Francisco for the Super Bowl 60, and they won that one 48-33. As Caleb Williams is going to be named as your Super Bowl MVP for the second year in a row now. And of course now Chicago Bears have now won their four-time NFC champions, and they are back-to-back. They're three-time Super Bowl champions and back-to-back NFC champions. And of course, as you take a look here, we're looking at some of the players who are, of course, retiring here, and of course, some pretty good names here. Allen, of course, he was on our team back in season 1. Now he is officially retiring. Of course, Khalil Mack, he could have won a ring and retired off in the sunset there, but he decided to, of course, make a bad choice and sign with the Lions. Aaron Rodgers will retire after 21 seasons. Take a look at Tyrone Smith as well. So some pretty good names here. Of course, Mitchell Trubisky, a former Chicago Bears quarterback. He retires there with the 49ers. And some pretty good names here showing up on this list here. James and Winston, after 11 years in the NFL. Slay retires there with the Eagles. So some really awesome names. And of course, all those guys will, of course, go off and collect those retirement checks there. Rightfully so. But yeah, of course, you see Russell Wilson there retiring. He will retire. Of course, I think he'll retire more of a. He's more known as a Seahawk than he is as a Bear. But he was very helpful for us in this season as well. Learning a lot from him, and of course, hopefully we'll build on to that. Hopefully we can find another quarterback like him to step up to the plate and play that role as the mentor to Caleb Williams. But today we are going to be wrapping up, or at least wrapping up the first part of the off season of the series as we get close to the series finale. And of course, that will be the NFL draft, where we'll draft like we normally would if the season was going on with season 3. And of course, I will give you guys my idea of what I was going to be doing for season 3 in that video. Now, I will give you a heads up right now. The video is pretty lengthy. It's I'm trying to cut it down to, at first it was 4 hours. Yeah. But then I kind of condensed it down some. So I will tell you now, the first part of it, like the first 23 minutes or so, will be me doing a commentary like this, traditional commentary, nothing live. Already, I kind of already know what's going to happen ahead of time. But just kind of doing that way. And then the last part of it, the last hour or so, I would say hour 20 or so, is me, my honest thoughts right then and there after the draft, and who drafted who, what our draft plans were, what I was trying to do in the draft, and all that kind of stuff there. So that will be after the first 23 minutes of the video. So hopefully you guys can stick around for an hour and a half. It's roughly about an hour and a half, somewhere around there, type of video. But there you see, we're talking to, of course, Roman Doze, talking about his what he's going to do in the off season here, and he is talking about asking him to see if he can work on his route running there in the off season here, or at least that's what he says he wants to do. And so that's what's one of the things he's going to be working on leading up to camp. And of course, we got our defensive coordinator Cameron Kelley, who is telling us about what kind of workouts we need to have for Danny Hill, who is now going to be playing the it'll be right, but he'll be playing left. Him and Montez Sweat will be, of course, flip-flopping around on the line as the edge rushers there for next season. We're asking him to what's he going to do for his off-season workouts there. And we're listening to what he has to say there. Of course, we got some options here to kind of do the same, or kind of make some changes that we would like to see him do. We could say, you know what, if that's what you feel like you need to do off season, that's what we want you to do. And of course, there you see a press conference talking to the reporters here about what our plans for the upcoming off season is. Now, originally I did say we was going to make a splash and upgrade the roster, which is true. We are going to do. we're not going to try to say we win the draft, because we did that last year, and I honestly think we did. I think we did win the draft because we got a good player like Danny Hill out of that and a couple other players as well. But I think we're just going to try to make a decent splash. Now, that being said, I will let you know now, here in a few, you'll see the draft, what the free agency pool looks like. And there's actually some pretty good talents in it. Really impressed with some of the, what the, talent on there can do and all that good stuff. But I almost feel like we don't really need to do anything here. And there's a reason why I think we don't need to make a huge splash. And maybe a player, I think a player, or maybe if we get lucky, maybe two, depending on how much we have left in our free agency. Because I actually went into the game and looked at some possibly restructuring some contracts for some players here, and see if we could get a couple guys to maybe take a player cut to help us maybe bring in to some here. And you see there, we're not really committed to what we're, the questions that we try to answer there. So there will be a -5 in morale, which I don't think that's going to hurt, or not going to hurt us too much here. But you see we got some upgrades here with some of our players here. You guys can look at that when I'm talking here. But I really feel like there's nobody in the really screaming like, oh, we need to have this person, we need to have this individual in our club. I feel like we, with restructuring contracts of some of the players, especially on the defensive side of things, I feel like the way I have restructured them, they're pretty solid. And I feel like that we don't really need to try to, bring anybody big or glamorous in there. There's a few players here in the, you'll see here in a bit here, that, we could possibly try to ask and see if they would be interested in. But I feel like the nucleus or the core players of the defense, which I'm really trying to focus in on, and of course, I've already kind of stood my ground on what we're going to do offensively, which is really, boost the offensive line, bring another lineman in like we did this past year, bring some younger offensive linemen that could be with us for the next couple of seasons, and then really shrinking that as much as we possibly can. Now, I am, of course, looking at some offensive linemen as well, in the free agency pool. But this year, it seemed like there was not too many to pick from. If there was some that I was looking at, they were not interested in. I'm not going to waste my time trying to overpay a guy coming in here. I just don't believe in that. If we did have the cash to do so and do that, I'd be all for it. But we really don't have that. I think we have 85 mil. And I kind of want to spend, if we do get anybody on free agent, or we do go after a free agency, which in this case I will let you know now we do not. But if we did, it would be more on the our defense side of things. I think offensively, we just got to get our guys to be able to produce, get them on the field and see what they can do. So I did a lot of restructuring with the contracts. That took a while. I was going to show it here on the video, but I'll let you guys know there are some guys to restructure. Some of the deals that we were looking at too were not too expensive. We're not asking for too much. And I felt that was good too. We wasn't over. We made it. That's one of the tricky things about this in sports games here. Is like, did I overpay him or did I underpay him? You just don't know. But as you see here, we got a couple of coaches here, like Quinn there getting fired by the Commanders. A couple other coaches here. Also, a lot of OCs, DCs here getting fired as well. So there is going to be a change of the guard of a lot of teams coming up in the off season, or going into this off season, going into season 3. That we'll have to do. Antonio Pierce got fired there by the Raiders, and the rest of the staff there did as well. But yeah, I think free agency wise, I feel like we had a strong free agency, our strong re-signing this season. Like I said, I was able to restructure a couple contracts with some players there, and then of course I just got to decide. You know what? There were some players there that I feel like, hey, they did not develop, they did not move the needle, as they say, to make us think otherwise and keep him there. So I decided, it's like, yeah, we're gonna really cut the fat and get rid of the players that are not, they're not really wanting to, excuse me, improve themselves and get better. And so we're just gonna let those players go. Here we are taking a look at the mock mock 5 draft here, and of course they tell us that Will Thomas will be a decent pick there for us, and he's a second or third round guy there. And of course, like I said, we're just looking at him, not necessarily, excuse me, not necessarily the pick we're going to go after, but he is a decent pick there to try to, do something for, and possibly, if we needed to, which we do, we kind of looking at defensive lineman as well for the draft. That could be a pick that we can go for there if he's there still in the, if he's still sitting there at where he's projected to be at, which is the second to third round. But like I said, I want to go into more of the offensive side, offensive line for this draft again. I think next season, or if we were going to season 4, that would be definitely we would definitely change it up and focus on more on defense. Because like I said, we got a couple players that we got to get worried about this time next season. To try to, if we're going to decide if we're going to re-sign them or if we're going to let them walk and go for another team here. And like I said, I've said this always in these videos here, this is always the toughest part of the video, because you always second guess yourself when you're in these type of situations. You don't know, like, hey, I'm gonna at first you're like, okay, I'm gonna re-sign this person. I know a lot of people that re-sign guys, especially in the middle of the season, the start of the season. As soon as you get a chance to negotiate with them, they re-sign them. I always try to look and see how they're going to be playing out and make my decision after the season. If they, I keep a close list of players who, progress and regress over the course of the season. I see if they've gone up in the regression from compared to where we started at. I always look at obviously the preseason, put their preseason numbers, what their overalls are, and some of their core numbers that they have at the start of the season. And then I wait about that first, getting close to the first, either the first bye week or the getting close to the trade deadline. I put up those numbers. I look at those numbers. I type those numbers up in a spreadsheet. See if they've gone up in value or if they've gone down in value. If they've regressed a lot more than they did when we started, then it's like, okay, that's a sign right there. It tells me that we may have to end up letting them go, maybe even trade them if we have to in some cases. And then after the first 12 games have been played, so you're a little over halfway through the season, make some more notes of who to change. And of course, these notes are always changing constantly here. That's why a lot of times it takes me so long to put out videos here, because I'm constantly looking at and changing and trying to make a decision on what is going to be working best for us and what's not. And then, of course, when we get to the like here again, I make some more notes again about what we're going to do and what we need to do. And you see here, like I said, I restructured some contracts here. A lot of these contracts were actually pretty affordable for us. And obviously, guys that were had no interest in us, whatever, like Nate Davis. Unfortunately, we're gonna end up losing Nate Davis there. I decided, excuse me. I decided, nope, we're gonna withdraw. We're not gonna deal with it. Taylor was another one there that I feel like we were just not getting anything out of him. He was not really developing that well. Of course, he has normal dev, so he is going to be, at a slower pace. But if we need edge rushers, we need those guys to be, I feel like in that 75 or higher range. He was at 71. We decided not to let him or, negotiate with him or make a deal with him. Same with Jalen Jones, the corner. Elijah Hicks, we talked to him. He was looking at for a couple million there for a season or two. We went ahead and re-signed him. And then we got Tyson there who's been around with our team for a while now. He's looking at a 2-year deal, roughly about a little over 3.5 mil for the next 2 years. And then we have what else? We have Jonathan Owens there. He's going to, of course, get re-signed there. He was one of those ones I was kind of teetering on. He was kind of on the fence when I was looking at who was going to get signed, who was going to re-sign, and it just kind of saying, you know what, let's give him a chance. Let's see what he can do next season, as he'll probably we're going to be setting him up in more of some different formations and get him set up for hopefully success down the line. Andrew Billings was another player that we were looking at as well. You got Dexter, Pickens there. So we ended up, surprisingly enough, we did not. Originally Billings was on my list to re-sign. He had interest in re-signing, but I feel like it was not going anywhere with him. Again, no growth was shown there for his numbers there. I utilized him a lot. He was involved in a lot of the defensive, plays and certain things in games. But yeah, it just was not it. Connor McGovern, we went ahead and re-signed him as well. And then we got our fullback there. We looked at him and we offered him a contract as well. And I believe he re-signed with us. So there you see some big names there, you guys. Like I said, there was a few names. 87 overall was the highest overall player for the most part, I believe, in free agency. So guys like Mark Andrews, Kendra Fuller was there, DeMarcus Lawrence. I was really looking at him like, oh wow, we could get him on that'd be a great person to put on the defensive line there. But he was asking way too much because you can tell there we have about 6.6 million left in cap. And then here you see the next draft, or okay, maybe that last one was Mach 5 or Mach 4. This is Mach 5, they say. So Mach 5, we looked at the roster here. Of course, we were going to be at the last pick, and Will Thomas, yep, right there again. So, but then we see some of the players that did get signed. The Broncos were very active in free agency this year. Panthers were as well. Falcons picked some good picks there. Matthews, of course, he's going to go to Tennessee there. So a lot of NFC South, AFC West, NFC East teams were signing some players here. I was looking to see what the Lions were going to do. Lions, of course, made a huge splash last year. Not so much this year. Hopefully the Broncos will not be like last year's. Won't be like last year's Lions. Of course, Packers made a couple of picks there, or a couple of decent signings there. You got a kicker there for them. So I'm assuming that the Lions, Lions picked up a punter. I'm assuming that our team, which I was surprised they did not go after a lot of players since we didn't go after them. But I'm assuming that they're going to cash in a lot of theirs in on draft picks. I think there's a divisional renaissance. I don't want to say renaissance, but there's something going on in the division because I didn't see too much of the Vikings, Packers, all of them. I think they overspent last year. This year they're kind of like, okay, we're stuck with what we got. Whatever money we do have here, we kind of have to save and wait to see what we can get in the draft. So there's some pretty good quarterbacks, pretty good other skills players out there for them. But we'll see how that draft turns out. And of course, I already know what that draft looks like. That's why I'm saying that. So yeah, I will let you know that in the next video, I talk a lot about our division and the changes that are being made within that division. There are some shockers, to say the least. There are some teams that are really already pulling the emergency button and saying eject. We're we're going down this direction now with this player here. So yeah, you just watch the next episode. It's gonna be a good one. That's why I say it's gonna. So it took a while for me to produce and kind of talk about what's going on because one, we did it live, so the loading screens are horrible in this game to load up and go from to screen to different parts of the menus and stuff like that. It's like as quick as I like it to go, but of course that's never the case. But yeah, this was a very, very interesting off season going in. Not to mention not just off season, but draft for the NFC North. But it sucks that I couldn't really get into season 3 as much as I wanted to. Because there's some really good, interesting storylines just with some of these. I see Sky Moore going to the Pack, former Chief, now with the Packers. Jordan Whitehead, strong safety there. Like I said, they made some changes there. Jennings there got picked up there, wide receiver for the Lions. Like I said, they didn't. They really, to me, I don't think they really overspent. They just kind of went to plug up some areas there that guys maybe who retired. Some teammates that retired, maybe they're like, okay, we can find a guy here on free agency that can fill that spot for the time being, and then we'll go from there and then see how the draft shakes out for us and whatnot. But yeah, it was a very interesting draft with how the Lions, the Vikings, and Packers what they did when it came to their players and there's certain positions on their squads there. So just iron sharpening iron. They were the top dogs right now for the last 2 seasons. Now won a championship, and they're threatening to knock off the king, and hopefully they miss. If you like the old saying, if you're going to try to knock off the king, don't miss. Because you will definitely regret it, and that's what we're going to try to make sure we can do here coming up in, if we were playing season 3. It kind of remind myself we're not into season 3 because this is the wrap up of the series. But if this series ever happens to come back for whatever reason, if a Madden game happens to, for whatever particular year it's really bad, I always try to keep these open ended. So there's a good possibility that we could bring them back, bring this particular series back, or any other series that we've done in the past, and bring it back and have some fun with it. It could be a live stream series somewhere down the line as well. I'm always open to doing that. But yeah, that was a pretty interesting off season there. Like I said, like the Lions, we didn't make any moves there in free agency. But the Lions did. They got a couple, I think 1 or 2 signings. Packers, maybe 3 or 4. Vikings, 2 or 3. But nothing too crazy. Like I said, this was kind of a bland off season, or free agency period. There was some pretty good names out there, but we just couldn't really afford it. And like I said, it was actually kind of a blessing in disguise, because we were actually able to hire and re-sign a lot of the key defensive players, and a few offensive players as well that I enjoyed having on the team and did well, especially defensively. And like I said, it worked out for us, and it was good. It was nice. It was good, and I really did. It was a good job of signing. Like I said, we might have re-signed a couple of guys there, but if we did, it was worth it. We happened to oversize some of those guys, which I feel like we did. Some of them actually I feel like we undersigned. We shortchanged them, but they accepted the deal and they went with it. So, but yeah, we'll definitely have to see what we can do in the draft. Some pretty good players there. Even though we didn't, this was going to be, I knew this was going to be the last season, I still did my due diligence of try to, look at the draft, look at these players, see how they are, how they do, and I feel like we got some pretty good players there that are going to be there, and they're going to be very successful and be a great, good players that will definitely help us pick up the slack and get to the next level of trying to win another championship in this series. But like I said, the draft will be coming up here next, so that video will be coming up here in the next day or two. Like I said, it is a lengthy one, so be prepared. I want to say it's about an hour to hour and a half, so be prepared for that as we get ready for that. And of course, like I said, a little bit of extra analysis of the draft and what some of the teams and what I thought what some of those teams were doing. And of course, what we are going to try to be doing if we were happen to play that season 3. But stay tuned for more here on the channel. One more video to go. That'll be the finale, and that'll be the draft episode where we'll talk about all the things about the draft and about the series as a whole. But thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more here on the channel. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you happen to be new. And, of course, hit that bell notification so you guys be notified of this series or any other series here on ESGNet. And, of course, don't forget to follow us over on our second channel here on YouTube at ESGNet Plus LP, as we have some good content over there as well when it comes to Madden, as well as college football, MLB, and much, much more, especially FIFA. Of course, the new FIFA's out, or the new, I should say, FC out right now. So I've been enjoying playing that. But that's it for me. As always, guys, it's getting late. I gotta get off here. As always, keep yourselves healthy, and I will see you all next time.